The Giza Pyramid Complex, also called the Giza Necropolis, is the site on the Giza Plateau in Greater Cairo, Egypt that includes the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Pyramid of Khafre, and the Pyramid of Menkaure, along with their associated pyramid complexes and the Great Sphinx of Giza. All were built during the Fourth Dynasty of the Old Kingdom of Ancient Egypt. The site also includes several cemeteries and the remains of a workers' village. The site is at the edges of the Western Desert, approximately 9 kilometers west of the Nile River in the city of Giza, and about 13 kilometers southwest of the city center of Cairo. The Great Pyramid and the Pyramid of Khafre are the largest pyramids built in ancient Egypt, and they have historically been common as emblems of ancient Egypt in the Western imagination. They were popularized in Hellenistic times, when the Great Pyramid was listed by Antipater of Sidon as one of the 7 wonders of the world. It is by far the oldest of the ancient wonders and the only one still in existence. Pyramids and Sphinx. The Giza Pyramid Complex consists of the Great Pyramid, the somewhat smaller Pyramid of Khafre a few hundred meters to the southwest, and the relatively modest-sized Pyramid of Menkaure a few hundred meters farther southwest. The Great Sphinx lies on the east side of the complex. Current consensus among Egyptologists is that the head of the Great Sphinx is that of Khafre. Along with these major monuments are a number of smaller satellite edifices, known as Queen's Pyramids, causeways and valley pyramids. Khufu's Complex. Khufu's Pyramid Complex consists of a valley temple, now buried beneath the village of Natslet el Saman. Diabase paving and Nummulitic limestone walls have been found, but the site has not been excavated. The valley temple was connected to a causeway which was largely destroyed when the village was constructed. The causeway led to the mortuary temple of Khufu. Of this temple, the basalt pavement is the only thing that remains. The mortuary temple was connected to the King's Pyramid. The King's Pyramid, completed in 2560 BC, has 3 smaller Queen's Pyramids associated with it and 3 boat pits. 11-19 The boat pits contained a ship, and the 2 pits on the south side of the pyramid still contained intact ships when excavated. One of these ships, the Khufu ship, has been restored and is on display at the Giza Solar Boat Museum. Khufu's pyramid still has a limited number of casing stones at its base. These casing stones were made of fine white limestone quarried from the nearby range. Khafre's Complex. Khafre's Pyramid Complex consists of a valley temple, the Sphinx Temple, a causeway, a mortuary temple and the King's Pyramid. The valley temple yielded several statues of Khafre. Several were found in a well in the floor of the temple by Mariette in 1860. Others were found during successive excavations by Sieglin, Junker, Reisner, and Hassan. Khafre's complex contained 5 boat pits and a subsidiary pyramid with a serdab. 19-26 Coffers Pyramid, completed in 2570 BC, appears larger than the adjacent Khufu pyramid by virtue of its more elevated location, and the steeper angle of inclination of its construction. It is, in fact, smaller in both height and volume. Khafre's pyramid retains a prominent display of casing stones at its apex. Mingkori's Complex. Mingkori's pyramid complex consists of a valley temple, a causeway, a mortuary temple, and the King's Pyramid. The valley temple once contained several statues of Mingkori. During the Fifth Dynasty, a smaller anti-temple was added on to the valley temple. The mortuary temple also yielded several statues of Mingkori. The King's Pyramid, completed ca. 2510 BC, has 3 subsidiary or Queen's Pyramids. 26-35 of the 4 major monuments, only Mingkori's pyramid is seen today without any of its original polished limestone casing. Sphinx. The Sphinx dates from the reign of King Kafra. During the New Kingdom, Amenhotep II dedicated a new temple to Horon-Hara-Meket, and this structure was added onto by later rulers. 39-40. Tomb of Queen Khentkes. Khentkes was buried in Giza. Her tomb is known as LG 100 and G 8400 and is located in the central field, near the valley temple of Menkaure. The pyramid complex of Queen Khentkes includes her pyramid, a boat pit, a valley temple and a pyramid town. 288-289. Construction. Most construction theories are based on the idea that the pyramids were built by moving huge stones from a quarry and dragging and lifting them into place. The disagreements center on the method by which the stones were conveyed and placed and how possible the method was. In building the pyramids, the architects might have developed their techniques over time. They would select a site on a relatively flat area of bedrock, not sand, which provided a stable foundation. After carefully surveying the site and laying down the first level of stones, they constructed the pyramids in horizontal levels, one on top of the other. For the Great Pyramid, most of the stone for the interior seems to have been quarried immediately to the south of the construction site. The smooth exterior of the pyramid was made of a fine grade of white limestone that was quarried across the Nile. These exterior blocks had to be carefully cut, transported by river barge to Giza, and dragged up ramps to the construction site. Only a few exterior blocks remain in place at the bottom of the Great Pyramid. During the Middle Ages, people may have taken the rest away for building projects in the city of Cairo. To ensure that the pyramid remained symmetrical, the exterior casing stones all had to be equal in height and width. Workers might have marked all the blocks to indicate the angle of the pyramid wall and trimmed the surfaces carefully so that the blocks fit together. During construction, the outer surface of the stone was smooth limestone. Excess stone has eroded as time has passed. Purpose: the pyramids of Giza and others are thought to have been constructed to house the remains of the deceased pharaohs who ruled over ancient Egypt. A portion of the pharaoh's spirit called his Ka was believed to remain with his corpse. Proper care of the remains was necessary in order for the former pharaoh to perform his new duties as king of the dead. It is theorized the pyramid not only served as a tomb for the pharaoh, but also as a storage pit for various items he would need in the afterlife. The people of ancient Egypt believed that death on earth was the start of a journey to the next world. The embalmed body of the king was entombed underneath or within the pyramid to protect it and allow his transformation and ascension to the afterlife. Astronomy. The sides of all three of the Giza pyramids were astronomically oriented to the north-south and east-west within a small fraction of a degree. Among recent attempts to explain such a clearly deliberate pattern are those of S. Hack, O. Notabauer, K. Spence, D. Rollins, K. Pickering, and J. Belmonte. The arrangement of the pyramids is a representation of the Orion constellation according to the disputed Orion correlation theory. Workers' village. The work of quarrying, moving, setting, and sculpting the huge amount of stone used to build the pyramids might have been accomplished by several thousand skilled workers, unskilled laborers and supporting workers. Bakers, carpenters, water carriers, and others were also needed for the project. Along with the methods utilized to construct the pyramids, there is also wide speculation regarding the exact number of workers needed for a building project of this magnitude. When Greek historian Herodotus visited Giza in 450 BC, he was told by Egyptian priests that the Great Pyramid had taken 400,000 men 20 years to build, working in 3-month shifts 100,000 men at a time. Evidence from the tombs indicates that a workforce of 10,000 laborers working in 3-month shifts took around 30 years to build a pyramid. The Giza Pyramid Complex is surrounded by a large stone wall, outside which Mark Lehner and his team discovered a town where the pyramid workers were housed. The village is located to the southeast of the Kafra and Mingkori complexes. Among the discoveries at the workers' village are communal sleeping quarters, bakeries, breweries, and kitchens, a hospital and a cemetery. The workers' town appears to date from the Middle Fourth Dynasty, after the accepted time of Khufu and completion of the Great Pyramid. According to Lehner and the ERA team, the development of this urban complex must have been quite rapid. All of the construction probably happened in the 35 to 50 years that spanned the reigns of Kafra and Mingkori, builders of the second and third Giza pyramids. Without carbon dating, using only pottery shards, seal impressions, and stratigraphy to date the site, the team further concludes. The picture that emerges is that of a planned settlement, some of the world's earliest urban planning, securely dated to the reigns of two Giza pyramid builders, Kafra and Mingkori. Cemeteries. As the pyramids were constructed, the mastabas for lesser royals were constructed around them. Near the Pyramid of Khufu, the main cemetery is G7000, which lies in the east field located to the east of the main pyramid and next to the Queen's pyramids. These cemeteries around the pyramids were arranged along streets and avenues. Cemetery G7000 was one of the earliest and contained tombs of wives, sons and daughters of these Fourth Dynasty rulers. On the other side of the pyramid in the west field, the royal sons Wep-Emnofret and Hemianu were buried in Cemetery G1200 and Cemetery G4000 respectively. These cemeteries were further expanded during the 5th and 6th dynasties. Westfield. The West Field is located to the west of Khufu's pyramid. It is divided into smaller areas such as the cemeteries referred to as the Abu Bakr excavations, and several cemeteries named based on the mastaba numbers such as Cemetery G1000, Cemetery G1100, etc. The West Field contains Cemetery G1000, Cemetery G1600, and Cemetery G1900. Further cemeteries in this field are Cemeteries G2000, G2200, G2500, G3000, G4000, and G6000. 3 other cemeteries are named after their excavators: Junker Cemetery West, Junker Cemetery East, and Steindorf Cemetery. 100-122. East Field. The East Field is located to the east of Khufu's pyramid and contains Cemetery G7000. This cemetery was a burial place for some of the family members of Khufu. The cemetery also includes mastabas from tenants and priests of the pyramids dated to the 5th Dynasty and 6th Dynasty. 179-216. Cemetery Giza. This cemetery dates from the time of Mingkori or earlier, and contains several stone-built mastabas dating from as late as the 6th Dynasty. Tombs from the time of Mingkori include the mastabas of the royal chamberlain King Nefert. The king's son Khufujadip was master of the royal largesse, and an official named Nyankar. 216-228. Central Field. The Central Field contains several burials of royal family members. The tombs range in date from the end of the 4th Dynasty to the 5th Dynasty or even later. Tombs dating from the Sayyid and later period were found near the causeway of Kafra and in the Great Sphinx. These tombs include the tomb of a commander of the army named Amos and his mother Queen Nikhtarbeistrau, who was the wife of Pharaoh Amasis II. 289-290. South Field. The South Field includes mastabas dating from the 1st Dynasty to 3rd Dynasty as well as later burials. Of the more significant of these early dynastic tombs are one referred to as Covington's tomb, otherwise known as Mastaba T, and the large Mastaba V, which contained artifacts naming the 1st Dynasty pharaoh Jet. Other tombs date from the late Old Kingdom. The south section of the field contains several tombs dating from the Sayyid period and later. 294-297. Tombs of the Pyramid Builders. In 1990, tombs belonging to the pyramid workers were discovered alongside the pyramids, with an additional burial site found nearby in 2009. Although not mummified, they had been buried in mud brick tombs with beer and bread to support them in the afterlife. The tomb's proximity to the pyramids and the manner of burial supports the theory that they were paid laborers who took great pride in their work and were not slaves, as was previously thought. Evidence from the tombs indicates that a workforce of 10,000 laborers working in 3-month shifts took around 30 years to build a pyramid. Most of the workers appear to have come from poor families. Specialists such as architects, masons, metalworkers and carpenters were permanently employed by the king to fill positions that required the most skill. Shafts. There are multiple burial shafts and various unfinished shafts and tunnels located in the Giza complex discovered and mentioned prominently by Salim Hassan in his excavations at Giza 1933-1934 report. Very few of the Sadic shafts have been thoroughly examined, for the reason that most of them are flooded. Osiris Shaft. The Osiris Shaft is a narrow burial shaft leading to 3 levels for a tomb and below it a flooded area. It was first mentioned by Salim Hassan. A thorough excavation was conducted by a team led by Hawass in 1999. It was opened to tourists in November 2017, New Kingdom and late period. During the New Kingdom, Giza was still an active site. A brick-built chapel was constructed near the Sphinx during the early 18th dynasty, probably by King Thutmose I. Amenhotep II built a temple dedicated to Hor-on-Haremeket near the Sphinx. As a prince, the future pharaoh Thutmose IV visited the pyramids and the Sphinx. He reported being told, in a dream, that if he cleared the sand that had built up around the Sphinx, he would be rewarded with kingship. This event is recorded in the dream stele, which he had installed between the Sphinx's front legs. During the early years of his reign, Thutmose IV, together with his wife Queen Nefertari, had stele erected at Giza. Pharaoh Tutankhamun had a structure built, which is now referred to as the King's Rest House. During the 19th dynasty, Seti I added to the temple of Hor-on-Haremeket, and his son Ramses II erected a stela in the chapel before the Sphinx and usurped the rest house of Tutankhamun. 39–47 During the 21st dynasty, the temple of Isis, mistress of the pyramids, was reconstructed. During the 26th dynasty, a stela made in this time mentions Khufu and his queen Henutsyn. 18. Modern usage. In 1978, the Grateful Dead played a series of concerts later released as Rocking the Cradle, Egypt 1978. In 2007, Colombian singer Shakira performed at the complex to a crowd of approximately 100,000 people. The complex was used for the final draw of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations and the 2021 World Men's Handball Championship. Egypt's Minister of Tourism unveiled plans for a €17 million revamp of the complex by the end of 2021, in order to boost tourism in Egypt as well as make the site more accessible and tourist-friendly. According to Lonely Planet, the refurbishment includes a new visitor center, an environmentally friendly electric bus, a restaurant, the Nine Pyramids Lounge, as well as a cinema, public toilets, site-wide signage, food trucks, photo booths, and free Wi-Fi. The new facility is part of a wider plan to renovate the 4,500-year-old site. List of Egyptian pyramids. Pyramid of Djoser. Buried Pyramid. Layer Pyramid. Pyramid of Meidum. Vent Pyramid. Red Pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Pyramid of Khafre. Northern Pyramid of Zoye Ilarion. Pyramid of Khafre. Pyramid of Mingkori. Pyramid of Userkov. Pyramid of Sahar. Pyramid of Neferurkar. Pyramid of Neferfer. Unfinished Pyramid of North Abusir. Pyramid of Nusir. Headless Pyramid. Pyramid of Chkar-e-Sasi. Pyramid of Yunus. Pyramid of Teti. Pyramid of Pepi I. Pyramid of Merenr. Pyramid of Pepi II. Pyramid of Ebi. Pyramid of Kui. Pyramid of Merikar. Pyramid of Amenevet I. Pyramid of Senisret I. White Pyramid. Pyramid of Senisret II. Pyramid of Senisret III. Pyramid of Amenemhat III. Pyramid of Hawara. Southern Mazuna Pyramid. Northern Mazuna Pyramid. Pyramid of Amini Kemau. Pyramid of Kenjer. Southern South Saqqara Pyramid. Tomb S9. Tomb S10. Pyramid of Amos.